Paris, late 1700s, a city of beauty and terror. In the center of a crowded square stands a strange wooden machine. Its blade glints in the morning sun. The crowd waits, silent, knowing what will happen next. The blade rises slowly above a condemned prisoner. Thousands watch without speaking. Then, in a single violent moment, the blade falls. A revolution that promised freedom now feeds on blood. But the story of this blade begins years earlier, when France was not yet a republic, but a kingdom drowning in inequality and anger. France was powerful and wealthy, yet millions of ordinary people struggled just to survive. Bread prices soared while wages barely moved. Hunger crept through the streets. Meanwhile, inside the Palace of Versailles, royal banquets glittered with luxury, tables overflowing with food the starving population could only dream of. King Louis XVI ruled France with absolute authority, but he struggled to understand the anger growing beyond his palace walls. Taxes crushed the poor, while nobles paid almost nothing. The system felt unfair, broken, and impossible to escape. Anger spread quietly at first. In crowded taverns and busy markets, people whispered about change. Then came the summer of 1789. Paris was restless, nervous, and ready to explode. On July 14th, thousands marched toward the Bastille fortress, a prison that symbolized royal oppression. The fortress stood tall with thick walls and armed guards, but the crowd was determined. Gunfire erupted as citizens stormed the gates. Smoke filled the streets of Paris. Hours later, the Bastille fell. For the first time, ordinary people had defeated royal power. Across France, people believed a new age had begun, an age of liberty and equality. But revolutions are dangerous storms. Once violence begins, it rarely stops where anyone planned. Political factions fought fiercely over the future of France. Allies quickly became enemies. Meanwhile, foreign monarchies prepared for war. Europe feared revolution might spread. France now faced enemies both inside and outside its borders. In 1793, the revolution crossed a point of no return. The king himself would face trial. The once powerful monarch now stood accused of betraying his own nation. The verdict came quickly. Guilty. Punishment? Death by guillotine. On a cold January morning, Louis XVI was brought to the execution platform in Paris. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the blade rose above the King of France. Then it fell. In seconds, centuries of monarchy ended. But the revolution had unleashed forces far darker than anyone expected. Fear spread through the revolutionary government as war and rebellion threatened the nation. They believed traitors were hiding everywhere, spies, conspirators, enemies of the revolution. To protect the revolution, leaders created a brutal new justice system. Trials became swift, evidence barely mattered, verdicts were often decided before the trial began, and the punishment almost always led to the same place, the guillotine. This terrifying period would be remembered as the Reign of Terror. Day after day, prisoners were brought to the blade. Nobles, priests, soldiers, even ordinary citizens. At the center of this storm stood a revolutionary leader named Maximilien Robespierre. Robespierre believed terror was necessary to defend the revolution. Mercy, he argued, would destroy it. But terror soon consumed everything. Neighbors accused neighbors. Fear ruled daily life. Even loyal revolutionaries began disappearing into prisons overnight. The revolution was devouring its own leaders. No one was safe anymore. Finally, in 1794, Robespierre himself was arrested by those who once supported him. The next day, he stood where thousands had stood before, beneath the guillotine blade. When the blade fell, The reign of terror ended, but the echoes of that revolution and its warning still haunt history today. The king was dead, but the revolution was just beginning. Soon, a man would rise who believed terror itself was justice.